Trajan, thank you so much for joining us this morning, man.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I really appreciate it too. Look, last night was tough. Last night was tough. A lot of basketball left to be played. A lot of good last night, some bad as well. Let's just go ahead and talk about what everybody's kind of wondering about today off the jump. And that is Zion Williamson last night, his usage, 15 minutes. I guess a lot of fans just want to know, why wasn't Zion in the game late last night?
Um, I think for us, it's a pretty easy answer. Um, Look, the health and safety is the most important thing for everybody right now. And I think coming back and playing basketball at such a high level after such a long period of time of not playing 5-on-5. I mean, it's been 4.5 months since Zion had played a competitive game of 5-on-5. And I think what a lot of people forget to remember is we had a long lead up to this. And, with the help of our performance team, we put together a plan for all of our players and all of our team in terms of ramping up and getting them to the point where we felt we could keep them safe in an NBA game like we did last night. And I thought they put together a hell of a plan leading up to this. And we went through some hard practices for 2 weeks, and then we had 3 scrimmage games.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Zion wasn't able to play in those scrimmage games. And if you look at the minutes, all of our players' minutes were held back.
Mm-hmm.
But that was ramping up to that first game. And so this was a scrimmage game for Zion in terms of that. We got to ramp him up. We can't just throw him out there for 20, 25 minutes. So that was the plan that we had in place. And again, the health and safety of our players is the greatest concern right now.
Yeah, and when you look at last night's box score, Trajan, something that jumps off the page to me, and really did just watching that game last night, is it just feels like, a year ago that this Pelicans roster was paper thin. Now this is a Pelicans roster that has a ton of depth. The minutes that you were getting from guys last night, whether it was Jackson Hayes giving you valuable minutes, Josh Hart as he does, 10, 11 players, like y'all were deeper than the Jazz. You're the man, you're kind of the architect behind that depth. What were your takeaways from all the guys that got action in last night's game?
Yeah, I think that's one strength that we do have is our depth, and that's helped us through the season because we've had a good amount of injuries. Obviously, when the regular season happened, whether it was Derek Favors or obviously Zion for his length of time, but I think we were able to withstand all of those because of our depth, and people filled in, and it's not like we played great basketball, but it's not like we're still in a position to make a run, which was, I thought we were playing some very good basketball when the break happened. In terms of last night, you could take away a lot of positives from the game. I think Jackson you talked about Jackson, his activity, his ability to impact the game on both ends was huge for us last night. I just think we have the ability to use different lineups at different times in the game, where we can go big, we can go small, we can go shooting, we can go slashing, we can go defensive. And I think that is a weapon that we'll continue to need to use in these seeding games here. But I think we're all really excited for the prospects of this roster moving forward.
Yeah, and when you look at the roster as a whole, Jackson Hayes to me is almost like representative of the roster, right? Like he has that gangly deer sort of feel. You could tell that he just like bursting with speed and potential. He's just still a little awkward. His knees are kind of knobbling, knocking around. He's just figuring this thing out. And so when I look at this Pelicans team and I see a team they've struggled in crunch time this year, and credit to the Jazz, that's where the Jazz have been spectacular this year. So that was a fear going into last night. Are those struggles, like you've been in basketball for so long, are those struggles, is that the hallmark of a team kind of as young as the Pelicans are?
I think you put it really, really well. I think you hit the nail on the head. That, you have to learn to win games. But to learn to win games, you have to be in the situation at crunch time. And we felt that in probably my second year in Brooklyn, and even the first half of the year with that team, is we were in games we couldn't win. We were in games we couldn't win, and all of a sudden, bang, we were in the same games and we started winning because we figured out what it took. And I think that's the stage that we're at. We're now at the start of this year. Griff and I talked about, what is the goal for the season? Obviously, everybody wants to get in the playoffs, but with the young team that we had. It was, let's get to the point where we can play meaningful basketball. And if it means we win those games and get in, great. If it means we lose those games and we just miss getting in, that's good too, because it's going to leave a taste in our guys' mouth that they want more and they want to get in the next year, and they're going to know what they need to work on to take that next step. So we are playing meaningful games, and I thought we played well for probably 40 minutes of a 48-minute game. But as you said before, these are some of the things that have kind of haunted us all year, is kind of executing and finishing games. But, hopefully we'll continue to learn.
Yeah, and that's something that we've been kind of stressing on this morning show as well, is that the vision for this team is long-term, and the long-term future looks bright. So it's very fun in the moment, and you absolutely want to win. But, yeah, it's not worth exposing somebody like Zion to unnecessary risk for these games. I want to talk about Brandon Ingram a little bit here. Trajan, we're talking to Pels GM Trajan Langdon. Huge thanks for joining us on today's program. Brandon Ingram, he is going to be the guy for these 8 games, as he should be. He's your all-star wing, should be comeback player of the year. Last night, very productive at times. Shots weren't always falling. That last one, a good look, so close. What do you tell Brandon Ingram after that? Like how do you encourage him to not shy away from those moments? I like that he wanted to have the ball in his hand at the end.
Well, Brandon is an off-the-charts worker. He's quiet, he's soft-spoken, but he is quietly competitive. He wants to win. He wants to be as great as he can be, and he puts in the work to do it. He came back stronger from the pandemic. In terms of you could tell he's been in the weight room lifting. He's stronger than he was, than back in March. He's been putting in the time. He's getting his shots up. He really studies his craft. He watches a ton of film on all kind of players that he can pick from, present, prior. He's receptive. He's coachable. And those are the moments he wants. He relishes those moments. And like any great player, you're not going to make all of them.
Yep.
But the fact that you have the mental fortitude to want to take that shot, not only take it, but make the move and get it off. And I'm sure it's a shot that he shot thousands of times in his gym by himself, probably thinking this is a game-winning shot, knocking it down. He was really, really frustrated last night and disappointed that ball didn't go down. But I think we all want him taking that shot. All of his teammates have belief in him. And I have no doubt that he'll continue to take those shots in the future.
I want to ask about one of the other guards, a guy that I have really fallen for throughout this season, and that is Lonzo Ball. And I feel for him a bit, right, because throughout the year he has made himself into a legitimate three-point threat. He shot the ball very well this year. But, maybe a lot of people were coming on board for the first time last night, and what they witnessed, they're like, oh, why is Lonzo shooting? Same old Lonzo. He struggled from the field last night. What's the message? I guess where's his head at? And then what's the message to him going forward in this bubble?
He's been great in our practices leading up to this. Our whole team has had a really good spirit, and we've come in every day, no BS, and put in really good work to get to the place where we are now. And he's been really, like I said, he's made shots. He's the one coming back at night, getting up extra shots after practice every day, working with Fred Vince. And so I feel bad for him too, because he's put in the time, he's put in the work. And it was paying off when we led into the break back in February, March. He was playing some high level basketball. He'll get back to it.
Yeah.
I feel bad because those shots didn't go down, but he kept making plays for us on the defensive end. He plays unselfish basketball, gets other people involved. And so if the shot's not going down, that's not the only way that Zoe impacts the game. But, we have confidence in him and want him to keep taking those good open three-point shots that he was taking. So they'll go down and they'll help us win some games here.
Yeah. So tough love last night, but no time to feel bad for yourself. You got the Clippers coming up next. Obviously, they had their own tough loss in a battle with the Lakers last night, so you're going to be looking at a couple salty teams going toe to toe. What's
right.
What's the message? What's the mood around the locker room? As fans, I think we're more slaves to the moment, whereas players, they're a bit more like, okay, we got to move on, we got to get ready. What's the tenor of the guys today?
I haven't seen him yet today. It's early. It was a later game last night. Obviously not a late one, but the emotions run high, especially in a game like that. I can't imagine any of our guys were sleeping before 2 or 3 in the morning. So
Yeah.
just kind of the way it runs. I mean, us as fans and even executives at times can watch the games and say, we'll move on. Big picture, those guys are in it, man. I mean, a tough loss like that, our guys are down here to make some noise, and I think they know we need to win 6 or 7 games. So a game like that makes it, even more challenging. So I think guys will come in locked and ready and want to get one back against a really good Clippers team tomorrow, which presents another big time challenge for us. So I'm sure they'll come ready. Their mindset is going to be different than ours. I mean, they're just trying to get ready for the playoffs, whereas every game is extremely important to us right now.
I love it, man, and I can't wait to watch this weekend. I will say this. It just felt – the NBA's done such a good job with that bubble. It felt so damn good to feel those emotions watching live sports again. Like, yeah, it was a gut punch when that shot didn't fall at the end, but that is a gut punch that I've been missing.
Yeah, no, Adam Silver and the NBA, they've done a fantastic job, and Griff and I have talked about it numerous times. Like, they've gone above and beyond all expectations. We never thought that they would be able to set it up like this, not only from a everyday living and training perspective and health and safety perspective, but now the gameplay is, considering there's no fans and, it's just basically some TVs wrapped around a court. It's a virtual soundstage that we're playing basketball on. It's pretty fantastic what they've done and what they've been able to execute.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Trajan Langdon, your Pelicans GM, tough loss last night. The boys are going to bounce back this weekend. Hey, man, thank you so much for waking up with us from the bubble this morning.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate all your support. Go Pels.
Hell yeah. Love it. Okay, Trajan, I see you. A little Coach O there. A little sign off with Go Pels every time. Hey, it plays. It plays in the market. Real talk, I guess, like, do y'all know Trajan Langdon's resume at all? Like, I feel like that's a name that I get very excited about. I wonder how much the general public knows at times.
Yeah, he comes from the Spurs mold.
He comes from the Spurs school, which people, Monty Williams, like people made, that's not always a guaranteed grade, but what I focus on even more, he was a key part in putting that Nets team together. They got good out of nowhere. He's one of the most forward-thinking, very young, successful minds in NBA front offices. It's why David Griffin tabbed him to leave Brooklyn, come down to New Orleans. And he's one of the main reasons why the future looks so bright. Like, he is a far cry from what you dealt with in Dell Demps over these last few years. So it's exciting times. And we'll see if the boys can bounce back this weekend. All right, we'll close.